All right, book nerds and bonded dragon souls, welcome back to Pages and Poor Decisions. We're the podcast where we overanalyze, theorize, and make wildly emotional book-related choices. I'm Samantha.
I'm Ashley. Today we're doing what we do best, spiraling. Am I right? Because let's be honest, after Onyx Storm, we have questions, lots of questions. Where is Rebecca taking us next? Who's in danger? And most importantly, are we emotionally prepared? Because I'm not.
Absolutely not. Yeah, spoiler alert, we are not prepared at all. Not one tiny, teeny ounce prepared for what's going to happen in book 4 and 5. But that's not going to stop us from diving into our best and boldest predictions. We have a few of them for what the future of the Empyrean series holds.
Yeah. So we're doing Dealer's Choice tonight for our wine pairing. I am drinking a Malbec called Malvado. It is from Argentina. It says a hostile land turned into victory. I saw this label and the lady I go to Total Wine and the lady's, what are you looking for today? What book or what pairing are you trying to do? I'm like, do you have something that just looks like you're just desiccating the earth? She's like, I have a guy on his knees on the ground. I'm like, okay, wait. She's like, well, no, I'll let you see it. If you can see it, there is a man, and it's like she says it's pure evil. Everything coming up from behind him, and the branches of the earth coming up. So I was just thinking the end of Onyx Storm, when he's just like, I'm done fighting it. Everything's dead, and that's what I have.
Well, I'm glad that you picked out something that is somewhat book related. I did not. I went back to one of my old trustees. I am enjoying this evening a delicious Sauvignon Blanc, Whitehaven, hailing all the way from New Zealand. This is one of my favorites, and it's a very hot day in Arizona, and I felt like something cool and crisp and refreshing. So cheers.
Jealous because it was cold the last 2 days, and I think we hit 60 this afternoon, and then it's going back down. So hence my red wine.
Where's your glass of red wine so we can cheers? You haven't even poured it yet.
We're showing it off.
I'm already drinking.
It's not my problem. Cheers. So grab a drink, strap in, let's get reckless with our theories.
And just a friendly reminder, folks, this podcast is not meant for little ears. We do not filter our language, and we do discuss some very adult themes. So in basic terms, this is not child friendly. So let's get into it.
It is not.
First and foremost that I think we need to talk about, who are the 4 missing riders and what do we think actually happened at the end of the book? We have 12 missing hours to account for.
Yes. Xaden. Let's just elephant in the room right now. Xaden says in a note to Violet, don't look for me. It's yours now. So we assume that that's Tyrandor. Tyrandor is Violet's now. Don't look for me. You're not gonna like what you're gonna see. You can't save me. He always refers to Tyrandor as she, like, oh, she's going to be okay. We need to protect her.
Right.
Yeah, just she. And I get it. It's like people talking about their car. Oh, well, she or a piece of machinery is what I assume. He wouldn't now call Tyrandor a she. He says, it's yours now. What does he mean by that? What do you think he means by that?
I wholeheartedly believe that it's referring to his heart or his soul. I don't think that he would all of a sudden... Yeah, I don't think he would all of a sudden change how he referred to Tyrandor and now all of a sudden say, it's yours now.
Right.
Right. We know Rebecca does not do anything by accident. Down to the placement of everything has a purpose in there. And I 1000% in my soul feel like it's his soul. She now
So
owns his soul.
that's fair. So at this point, they're married. Okay.
Yeah.
They got married, what we assume is from the high priestess of Dune, binding what's left of his
The one that
soul
owed the
to
favor.
Violet. Yeah, it's like Dune owes me a favor. This was the favor we assume, right? Is getting married from the high priestess of Dune, blessing them and marrying them as as his favor. And I wonder, I've said this the last few times, his soul's not gone. It is not gone. It's not dead. They kept saying that the more you turn Venom, the more you channel, the more it kills your soul piece by piece, or you've bartered away your soul or whatever.
Right.
I feel like I do believe that, but I don't believe that in this case. Although you don't feel like your own and in charge of your own person, like he says that he's trying to be in control, but he's always struggled with control. I think that yeah, maybe Dune does hold his soul or a part of it, or Violet does. And again, we will get into that part of what I think about later when we're talking about Violet.
Yeah. So I think what was interesting though in the note or the marriage certificate essentially from the high priestess, it was very specific wording from the high priestess with the actual terminology, binding marriage. So I think she bound what was ever left of his soul, because when he was sending out his wave of darkness, remember? And he was saying that I'm watching the last pieces of me basically fly away. And that's when Violet sends the I love you out, and it goes in, sealing it in. And he's like, I grasped onto that. Yeah, I grasped onto that. She's warmth and light and love. And so I still think
I tugged on it. Yeah.
That, yeah, I think possibly that the high priestess, I know, bound whatever was left of his soul to Violet. Who do you think the 4 missing riders are?
Well, Brennan just said they had 5 missing, 4 now after they found Violet, and they think Ryerson was in charge of this. And so they said, so now there's 3, but he killed the other 3. So they're counting him as the 4th missing rider. So that means there's 3 besides him. I think it's Garrick Bodie
that they are assuming are dead,
just missing. Yeah, they're not accounted for. So I'm thinking Garrick Bodie. God, what if it's Dane? Garrick Bodie, Auric maybe, because he wanted to like peace out and not be a part of this conflict or whatever.
So that's what I think.
Maybe Xaden needs him for his premonition stuff.
Right. I think it's Garrick. I have a feeling Auric is part of that. And I'm on the fence about Bodhi, but we'll get into that. Also, why did this is like something like it's been like sitting in the back of my brain, but why did Andarna say, I will not let them burn you?
I thought the same thing. She's like, what? Why? We were all like, why? But at the same time, once the chapter unfolds about how Violet had been missing for 12 hours, 12 unaccounted hours in her brain, and that she, because Xaden is Venom, and I think they've all learned that at this point now, besides just the select few, that maybe because she was with him or helping him or allowed him to exist in their world and at school, that she might be a traitor, and they just kill traitors like we know they have done in the past by Dragonfire without trial.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. But like there are other people who knew, like Brennan knew, because Brennan was trying to help mend him.
But he wasn't, he still wasn't a part of society at Basgiath and helping Navarre. He was kind of against Navarre. So anyone who was not with Navarre's alliance, they don't really give a shit what you're doing. They're not going to burn you
but they're
immediately
in
without questioning.
Right. They're in Orisha, not Basgiath. So like, who in Orisha would burn her. That's why I'm like, that I'm still, and I think it's probably leaning towards obviously her knowing that Xaden was Venin and they would label her as a traitor. That's
as a
kind of
Venin
like
lover,
where I'm leaning.
because she totally was
A Venin lover. Yeah, she absolutely was. But
because she, yeah,
yeah,
marrying a Venin.
I don't know. Who do you think took the 6 dragon eggs?
There were 6 dragon eggs missing. I'm thinking it was anyone who was on the mission when they went to
Quest Squad?
the Isle of Dune. Quest Squad. Anyone who's in Quest Squad. I don't know if you see my shirt. For anyone who can't see it, it's a really awesome shirt that has broccoli on it. It says, nobody wants
TikTok
it,
shop.
but it's good for you. Quest Squad. Anyone who was on Quest Squad, I think probably stole the dragon eggs. What I'm thinking is, and this is, I think you brought this up before, was there, helped. He obviously talked to the high priestess to get her the dagger she needed, knowing that she was going to lose her dagger in order to kill Theophany. So I think he's been in communication with Dune, with the temple, and they originally said
Queen
Marlis,
Morales or whatever her name was.
She
Marlis,
was like, give
Queen
me 12
Marlis.
eggs, 2 of each, and you got a deal. You got a troop. We'll give you troops. And she's like, well, yeah, I don't think dragons are gonna do that. But I think Ark, knowing and can see, he took 6 eggs, 1 of each, hoping to sweeten the pot and just, hey, this is what I could get you. Will you help us? And like, or also knowing what it will go on. So I'm thinking he did, or whoever the other brother is that turned. Honestly, I wouldn't even put it past. I wouldn't put it past Xaden for, I don't know if it's nefarious reasons or if he has like a maniacal plan to take down the Venom from within, but doing that and maybe trying to gain some respect or some, foothold with the Venom to influence them and then get them to do what he wants to do so he can still take them down from within. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think Xaden had anything to do with it. I do think that
he's a smart cookie,
Arik was, but I think Arik was part of that missing 12 hours and possibly at the wedding. And I think this was a plan that was hatched up, and I think Violet knew, and Violet had her memories erased.
Okay. Like, she's like, yes, this is the smartest thing we can do. Just do it.
Because just think about it. Like, if she were to get tortured again, she doesn't know anything because her memory got erased. So was this a manner of protecting her? But then again, like, part of me still thinks about, that very first chapter, the prologue of Onyx Storm, where at the very end, she's telling Taryn to tell Glaine that she needs to talk to Imogen. And then it ends with Imogen saying, I did what you asked me to do. So, like, while Xaden was planning.
You're obsessed with it. You're obsessed with that first chapter.
I know.
I don't feel
I know.
like that's, but if you're right.
I don't know. I feel like there's something there. And I almost feel like maybe Violet was running like, there's something there. I think Violet was running like a concurrent plan while Xaden was like running his plan. Like, this is a fallback.
I mean, those two.
This is worst case scenario.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know.
Okay, so Dane. About Dane.
But yeah.
We've got to talk about Dane. He went from boy next door
we have
to
talk about
hot
Dane.
Guy. We have to talk about Dane to a hot guy. He's been hot the whole time.
Hot guy.
But now he's gotten over Violet. He's just what's going on with him and Sloane.
But like, I think part of the hot Dane is also has to do with like his redemption arc. Like, we were super pissed off at Dane in Fourth Wing because he was being a little bitch. He betrayed Violet, and in Iron Flame, like, he did the right things and was, kind of working his way back in, and like
slowly,
he's
yes.
he's
just Dane.
he's
Well,
he's just
Rebecca
Dane.
said that she loves Dane. It's one of her favorite characters, and that when she was doing any of her stand-up, what do I call those stand-ups?
Stand-up comedy
last time.
in-person interviews. Oh my
Thank you.
God. You're driving me to drink.
Put that on a shirt. She says, "Oh, I can't believe you don't like Dane." Everyone's like, "Boo." She's like, "I love Dane." And because his character develops so much, and I like him in this one a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So, but
yeah. But I do want to know what's going on with him and Sloane for sure, because
they
there's
have
something
that
there.
there's something there. They have their first interaction when they're in like battle brief, and she's like, "Excuse me, move aside, first years, move aside." She's like looking at him like all pissed off, like, "Okay, we get it. He is one reason why Liam got killed." But then she has like a blush on her cheeks, and he like stares at her, and she's like, "Cute." I don't know. And then later on, definitely when he's trying to keep her safe, flying around, following her to make sure she's safe, and she delivers this package to Violet, and then the whole mirror thing happens, and he's like, use me to siphon, to save Mira, to give to Brennan. And she's like, "I'm gonna hurt you." He's like, "Don't I know it?" That's right, he doesn't wink. That's right, he told me he doesn't wink, but I like to think he winks. Don't I know it? Well, why would he say that? Like, that doesn't seem like it, like you'd hurt me. It's more like because you're a heartbreaker or something like that,
That's what I was thinking. Was that she's like, "I'm gonna kill you," and he's like, "Don't I know it?" Kill his heart, maybe.
She didn't say, "I don't want to kill you."
But I think, need to talk about Sloane's comment when she starts to siphon from him of, "Someone like you shouldn't have this much power." What does that mean?
Okay. What
Someone like as
you?
in,
what do you mean, you people?
Yeah, like what?
Someone like you, like a third year, like someone who just can read recent memories, but are they recent anymore?
I don't know.
What kind of power are you talking about here?
I kind of feel like because we know signets can evolve and develop over time, right? As they continue to train them and evolve, their signet power also grows with them. So I think he's going to be able to retrieve erased memories, i.e., find out what Violet had erased. I think that will happen. I don't know if it will happen in the 4th book, maybe, but I do think he will have that ability to retrieve the erased memories. Or something I didn't think about is Imogen can erase memories. Can she also put them back?
We don't know what her second signet is as a marked one.
Yes, we do. She can turn things to stone.
What? Since when? We didn't talk
about that. In her point of view chapter, she can turn things to stone. So now we know that Liam had a second signet. I don't know. We know that Garrick has a second signet. We know that Imogen has a second signet.
And Bodhi. Yeah, I'm like Xaden.
Yeah, I only have one, like Xaden.
But okay. So I think because
we'll get back.
They are so close that he knows. But I also think Xaden said only Sigil knows, but maybe Bodhi knows too. But he also could just be like, "Oh, just like Xaden." But he could have said like anyone. "Oh, just like so-and-so." But why did he say Xaden if it was just one signet?
I don't think Bodhi knows.
Okay.
I don't. The other thing that I think about Dane is, because signets can evolve over time, will he be able to eventually read minds without touching people? Is that also where that too much power comes in? Like if he develops it, he can actually do it at close ranges without touching them.
Maybe. I mean,
then he would be like a true
definitely
intrinsic.
Don't want to get older and the creepy uncle vibe and just be like, nephew so-and-so, I need to touch you for a second. I'm
So
sorry.
creepy.
So hopefully the touching stops.
That is so fucking creepy. Oh my God. Oh my God.
They're like, don't go near him. He'll touch you. That's not
yeah.
why. Yes,
So
I think
going back to,
I think he can
go ahead.
he's probably honed it a lot and can do it from a further distance. But I think you're onto something with just because he can read recent memories doesn't mean it's something that's been completely wiped. Because even if Imogen's was erasing memories, what if it's just blocking them? So either of those two
Oh yeah.
could, replace what it is that was lost. And I think that would work in tandem for sure. And later. And whoever that is, because I think you can get those back for sure, no matter who does it, it will be in the fifth one, because that's when like all this shit is going to be revealed, and it's going to be like, she's going to make us cry so hard, and it's going to be ridiculous. And it's going to be something after the fact, like Romeo and Juliet, like I keep saying, like in the movie, do you realize,
No.
it was, or just in general, oh my God, I was faking my death. Oh no, I accidentally took the poison. No, I'm dying. Oh no, I'm going to kill myself. Because it was revealed after this person already decided to kill themselves because they thought you were dead. And I think we're all just going to die crying.
No, I
Revealed
refuse
too
to
late.
accept anything other than a happy ending.
If Rebecca doesn't do it that way, I don't know if I can accept Brennan.
I don't
Can we talk
want to
about
be
Brennan?
that emotionally devastated. Listen,
We will be.
yeah.
Well, okay. Were you emotionally
so
devastated during Throne of Glass?
But that was like a good emotional devastation, because like obviously there were some parts like in Kingdom of Ash that just emotionally wrecks you. But I love
in the end.
But we're not going to talk
Okay.
about the Throne of Glass series right now. We're talking about Onyx Storm. So Brennan is mending Mira.
Mhm.
And Sloane is siphoning the power. And Violet notes that there is not a mark left on Dane's arm or on the back of Brennan's neck, like the one on Brennan's palm, or what had happened to Dane's arms while Jack siphoned from him. And she's like, weird.
Right.
So obviously Sloane is a true siphon. She's just transferring power from one person to another. She's not stealing the magic of the earth. So she's not.
Okay. I got it.
What you got?
Okay. Based off that, because I didn't think about this before, did they say that there was anything on Mama Sorngale when she did that?
It didn't go into that, so we don't know.
Okay.
I think when I think
she just died.
I don't remember her. Yeah, when she siphoned all the power out of her. So like,
what are the limits? What are the rules to siphoning another person to transfer it to someone else? That's the question. What are the rules? What are the rules?
That is, we don't know. What are the rules? We don't know. But the rune-shaped scar on Brennan's hand, I do believe is a rune.
Mm-hmm.
My thoughts swirling around all this is, with Violet saying what she did about noticing nothing on Dane or the back of his neck, I think that was put there by Naolin when he resurrected him. I still think Naolin is Venin. But does this rune protect or prevent Brennan from becoming Venin? So like, does that rune prevent him from channeling from the ground?
So just everyone gets a tattoo and they're good to go.
Right. Maybe it's as simple as that. Or is this something that was put there by Naolin, and can Naolin still communicate with Brennan or be controlled by Naolin because of this rune on his hand?
Okay.
So there's that. But also think, like, if you think about the wyvern, right? The Venin use runes carved into the onyx stone to animate wyvern. So was the rune also put there to animate Brennan? Like, it brought him back to life.
Okay. That's a good question.
There's just so many possibilities swirling around.
So do you think
in my brain.
Do you think Brennan is part venom then? But with the rune, he doesn't have to feed.
Don't know.
Or feed. Why do we keep saying
Right.
feed?
I'm like, with that rune,
channel?
feed off the magic of the ground. I don't know. Like, I've seen theories out there from other people that are like, is he venom
I love
and
theories.
this prevents him from channeling? Oh, I go down such like deep, dark rabbit holes. It is.
Well, here's the other deal. If that were the
Consumes my
case,
life.
wouldn't he share that with Violet and Xaden?
What if he can't? Like, what if, like, how
He doesn't have his
Xaden
memories?
is unable? Well, no, what I'm saying is, like, because, Xaden's unable to kill Berwyn. Like, there's things that he's unable to do. What if there's also, like, weird venom rules that, like, keeps them from disclosing certain things about venomism? And, like, what if that's one of it?
Interesting. Okay. Okay. I need to touch base on that again later. We're talking about Berwyn later, right?
I think so.
Okay. The other part that I think about this is that the rune, if that was Naolin's, his goal was successfully resurrecting Brennan. The rune that he put on there, do you think maybe he was able to transfer Siphon, but also transfer his soul to Brennan? So that way his soul wasn't completely ripped away, turning venom.
Oh, so you think that a potentially Naolin could be
or he put
back
his
to,
soul
like,
into Brennan's
human?
body, or he transferred his soul to Brennan's body, tying his soul to him.
Did he just make a
since he was
Horcrux?
dead or whatever. So maybe Brennan isn't really Brennan.
He's a Horcrux that he didn't mean to make.
He's a Horcrux he didn't mean to make, but on purpose. He did make it.
Or maybe he meant to make it. We don't know.
Maybe he's a Horcrux. That's a Harry Potter reference if you guys don't know.
Speaking of Brennan, though.
Okay.
Yeah. Speaking of Brennan, so I went back and looked up what Mira's eye color was in Fourth Wing. And she's described as having, like, brown eyes. And then we know Violet has an amalgamation of, like, blue and green and gold or whatever the fuck her eyes are. Which
So
I
she's
think
got
that might end
rainbow
up becoming
eyes.
important. Right.
I have theories on that.
But Brennan's eyes are amber.
Yes.
Who else do we know that has amber in their eyes?
So I thought that the second time I read it too. I was like, wait a second. They didn't use amber much, except for Amber Mavis. It's dead.
Bitch. She got a case of the deads.
Case of the deads. Okay. The question is, were his eyes always amber? Because they don't talk about what your eyes looked like before he was done dead. Because he was dead for 6 years, according to them. So, that is interesting. And that also makes me think that the resurrection part of it was also still Naolin's soul in his body. Okay. Or what you have I like is that he's part venom with the rune, but he's not required to draw from Earth because the rune keeps him from so. And Naolin was trying to save him in that way from going full on venom. So he just has amber eyes. And maybe that's why he's also like so shifty all the time. I just feel like there's something not right with him. He's there when you're needed, and then he's also just aloof. He doesn't have like a personality. Like, who is Brennan? And he's been gone for 6 years and didn't give a shit about telling anyone because he's running the revolution. Is he though? It didn't seem like he was doing shit. But he saved his sister. Will always save his sister. So the love part is not gone if he is venom. And he can still wield inside. I definitely think
there is.
Well, Erasha didn't have wards. So maybe that was... No, because he came to Basgiath and mended her. So he can still wield inside the wards. The amber eyes, though. That's a good catch.
Something to think about. Yeah,
dude.
Something to think about. When I tell
Something
you, like, I started going down deep in this, like, I went down deep. Like, things would just, like, start popping up, and I was like, oh my god, down deep.
You know what's weird?
But I think one of the... What?
Sorry, on Brennan, what's weird is all the other characters have talked about, like, their dragons, or their dragons have talked to each other, or they'll have one moment with them that they're like, oh, well, so-and-so won't let me do that, blah, blah, blah. Brennan never talks about his dragon, and he's never there. His name is Just the name.
There's been a couple of mentions, like in Iron Flame. I don't know. I don't think there was really anything in Onyx Storm, but there was a mention of it in Iron Flame.
The thing is like, oh, yeah, he's up there in the field with everyone else. But that also reminds me about how awkward Sigale was after Xaden turned Venom, because she was quiet and just there.
And she was like
And the
doing like
dragons
her
didn't speak
weird pacey
anything about
shit.
this one dragon. Almost like this dragon's kind of an outcast now.
I don't know. But I don't feel like we hear a lot, like we don't hear anything about Sloane's dragon. Like this book, we really didn't hear anything about Dane's dragon, or you know what I mean? So
Well,
I
we already
don't
know about
I don't
Dane's
know if
dragon.
that's
We've
maybe
heard a little bit about
necessary to the
Mulvick,
storyline.
because Mulvick doesn't hide from a fight or whatever. We've learned a lot about Rhiannon's dragon, Imogen's dragon, Sawyer's, and Riddick's, which is the core crew. But I mean, we know some about some of the others, but the fact that he's mentioned it like a couple times and just doesn't, it's just awkward to me.
And he did
We
have an
know
orange
more
dragon.
about Bade than we do about fucking Brennan's dragon.
I don't know.
And Tiny.
I don't know, man. Maybe it's just because like he's not like out on the front, like he's a mender, so like he's not like I don't know.
He's sure been flying a lot.
I don't know about that one.
Yeah. Weirds me out, man. Just those two.
I don't know.
They weird me out.
I think
what you got next?
Yeah, there is something there with Brennan. And I know when we were on our FaceTime read, going over this book, the one thing that kept sticking out over and over and over again was the number 6. This was mentioned so many times in this book. We have 6 gods. We have 6 pillars in Dune's temple that each have the book, the shield, the sword, fire, water, claw. We have Jacinia brings her 6 books on the southernmost isles of Deverelli. They were given 6 months to find the 7th breed of dragon. Asher got secretive 6 months before he died.
Ooh.
6 Talons pub in Shantara. 6 letter lock on the Codex. And I say Codex because I keep thinking of like the Da Vinci Code. That's the lock that was on the box for Violet to get into from her dad. There were 6 tomes that were written by Asher that were given to Violet from Norel. There were 6 stolen magical treasures in Deverelli. 6 Irids showed up on the beach. 6 crates of alloy hilted daggers were stolen from Suniva. 6 missing dragon eggs.
Yeah, man.
There was so many 6s in this book. I was like, this has to mean something. So what did I do? I went back and looked in Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. Okay, so we have 6 provinces in Navarre. There are 6 marble pillars that are carved into dragons in the Riders' Rotunda and in the Riders' Quadrant at Basgai.
And that correlates with the 6 pillars in the Dunes Temple in Umbriel as well. 6 pillars.
Yeah, it was 6 years since Brennan had been killed. 600 years since the Great War. We had the first 6 riders. They were missing for 6 days during the Resin/War Games.
I didn't pick up on that. Whoa.
I told you, I went down deep. 6 dragons lined the rotunda wall during conscription. There were 6 bookshelves in King Tori's library that they broke into.
Ooh, girl.
And then they were gone for 6 weeks during the quote unquote revolution from Basgaeth.
Okay.
There were a lot of 6s. So then I'm like,
she really hit it hard.
What is the significance of 6? Well, is that Rebecca's favorite number? I don't know. But if you read her little blurb in her book, she has 6 children. Is this a coincidence? Is that why like there's so many 6s? Because she's like trying to represent her 6 children? I don't know. But 6 is also the smallest perfect number. So people that know maths, 6 is the smallest perfect number. It also represents balance, order, harmony. And then what do we always hear in these books? Magic demands things in balance. And 6 is representative of balance.
Oh.
Is this coincidence?
Yes. Magic demands
Yeah,
balance.
there's a lot of 6s. Magic demands balance. 6 is representative of balance.
And what's funny is,
What else could that be?
you and I were doing our tandem read on FaceTime. And when we were coming across these, it was like a couple 6s, we didn't really pay attention. And then it was like, I don't know, maybe a fourth way through the book, I was like, 6? The fuck? 6 again? And you're like, dude, another 6. Oh my God, another 6. I'm like, okay, what? Okay, maybe it's a coincidence. And it just kept happening. So it was like, there's something with this, Rebecca. It's like, she realized how stupid her fan base was from Iron Flame. Like, we couldn't figure out like her signet or whatever. She's like, I just need to hit it hard and these assholes are going to figure it out finally. Just like, I'm just going to hit them with a bunch of 6s. That's what I assume.
Yeah.
But why the 6?
I don't know.
I mean, it doesn't matter. You don't have to have an explanation. I don't know. That's a number.
That's a lot. That is a lot of 6s.
But what is the end game here with the 6? 6 dimensions, 6 main signets. Oh wait, yes, we do know there's supposed to be like 6 main signets, right? The 6.
Well, I don't know if they're main signets, but like I think I'd have to go back and check again. But I think when they were talking about the first 6 riders, I think at that point, those were the 6 most powerful signets, of which 2 being lightning and shadow.
But they were also
we don't know what the other 4 were.
So we don't know if those were, they're saying the most powerful, but does that mean
at that time
it was at the time because it was the only ones that had them? That's what I'm thinking. So we touch on this a little bit later, but the 6 I still think are, the main, I would say the main core group or quest squad. I'm kind of irritated Sawyer and Rhiannon's not part of quest squad, but maybe they will be next group. Or quest squad dissolves after that because they don't need it anymore. Quest squad. But no, they're going to try to find a way to save him. Quest squad. But I still think that the water, fire, summoning, whatever is still going to be important because those, although Xaden said those were basic, I still think if they hone them correctly, they can be the most powerful that you have. But I'm also thinking someone like Imogen or Dane or Auric, Sloane's got to be part of it. Siphoning is definitely a big one. So it's really just dwindling them down to the most significant and powerful of the 6 of the people that we already know that can help and save everybody.
Right.
Yay.
So I guess the other thing that I think about is we have like the history of the first 6. We already know at some point history was erased and recreated.
Hogwarts
but had
history,
this happened more than once? Hogwarts history. Has this happened more than once? So like when they're talking about the history of the first 6 and you have Warwick and Lyra's journals, that's great and everything, but has other stuff since then also gotten erased? And so they're thinking that this is what happened, but maybe not, because this whole time they were thinking Venin had been vanquished. But as we start to see Queen Mariah, right? She was the Promish queen that got killed. It was Mariah, right? She had tomes and stuff that were sent that Violet has been reading that talked about, or even Takara sent over, but they were talking about the trials that they had on Venin and the different experiments they were doing on Venin. So obviously Venin had never gotten vanquished. They've been here the whole time. Is there record of that somewhere and not erased by history because Navarre's already done it once?
I think you're onto something. And we also know that there are memory erasers out there. So some people can, could have been like, listen, you don't remember this instant. You're not going to write anything about it. And I think that is what also makes Asher's research so important, because he protected it with his life. How many other people out there have kept stuff like that? And I think Violet's going to go like door to door to door, and maybe in all these random ass towns, like, hello, can I look at your what kind of books do you have? Let's talk for a second. You want to have some tea? I don't know. Because yes, things are passed down by generation. Who knows what's been erased? But once you brought that up, that obviously Venin have been there, because anytime anyone can channel, it's not something that's like The Walking Dead and it's there. I'm
Yeah.
thinking like what we think are the first six, what if they're not the first six? Because it was erased before that.
Right.
Where there was, it said, a king that was lived 1,000 years ago, something, something, something in Fourth Wing. And then there was also General Darramore, who was also before that. What if they erased it then, and then the first six from 600 years ago is not the first six? And Dragonkind is just like, oh man, this shit again,
Right.
you know? So
Well, and you think about that because there's so much information that the Empyrean knows about Dragonkind that they do not share with humans. Like, I think Kaori said, like, we know less than, like, we think
probably
we
like
know
10%.
I don't remember what he said.
Yeah.
But essentially what they know is actually like a very minuscule amount of all of Dragonkind, because Dragonkind is so secretive. But that kind of just leads me to something else then. The Irids didn't feel, maybe they were not as secretive. They were open. They opened the connections, the mind-to-mind connections to speak to anybody. Can all dragons do that? And at some point,
Yeah.
did the other 6 breeds like just become basically too big for their britches? I don't,
Yes.
you know what I mean? I don't
Too
know.
big. I'm just gonna pull up my suspenders. What? Okay. Yes. So I agree with you. Like, so, well, here's the other thing. Do Irids just think that like their shit doesn't stink? Or okay, are they the top tier and they're like all these little hooligans are just doing whatever the fuck they want, just rummaging around? Yeah, I'll pick a dragon. Here's my human. My human farts all the time. Here's my human. My human can't even sit on me. You know, or is it like the Irids are then like, I don't know, just free people of the earth that are just like, yeah, man, everything's cool, and everyone else is like,
Crystals,
pushing up their ties, like, well, you got to get a human if you want to act right and be a part of this life. And the Irids are like, nah, man, we're not like that. Which way is it? They obviously aren't, copacetic. They're not breeding, apparently.
yeah.
And
we have a whole section. We have a whole section on the Irids, so we're gonna get back to the Irids here in a second.
Darn you, Irids!
I know.
It was your fault. You brought up Irids.
I know. We'll come back to the Irids. Actually, no. There is something that we'll just continue on with the Irids right now, and then we'll circle back to something else because there was a thought that just struck my head.
Don't lose it.
How long did Andarna say that she waited to hatch?
I think she said it was 650 years.
So the Irids have been gone at least 650 years.
Before the first 6, right?
If history had not been erased, and that's where we think it actually happened.
But they fired the first wardstone. So one Irid was willing to help them fire that wardstone, but not at Erasure. And they pieced out.
Right. Leaving Andarna behind.
Which is making me think
did they leave
one of Andarna's parents or one of her dead? Because I think they're most compassionate is what I'm thinking.
Maybe, but now I'm sitting here thinking, okay, this is kind of like a chicken or egg scenario. What came first? Did venom come first and then people bonded dragons? Or did someone bond to dragons, someone bond to griffin, and the third sibling was jealous and turned venom? So we still
classic Three Brothers.
We still
story.
do not know. Right. We still do not know when venom officially came to be. Was it before or after people bonded to dragons? Because I think the Fables of the Baron was written by Asher Sorengale for Violet. I think all of those stories in there were written by Asher specifically for Violet, and that's why there are no other copies of this book around. But who came first? Dragon Riders or venom?
Right. Because if you look at you have two conflicting things. It's the Three Brothers, and that's where the venom would start. However, Lyra's and Warwick's journals state that they had to bond dragons in order to vanquish venom. So venom were there, and that's why they had to bond dragons. That's a good point.
But or
what happened
did
first?
They lie in their journals?
Well, we know one of them did.
Right.
And also,
That's what I would
what
like
about the
to
other
know.
4? Do you think she's going to find the other 4's journals on her quest out to find Xaden and also answers to try and fix them? You have to.
I don't
Like,
know.
she's not going to leave
I don't
something
know,
out.
but
There's 4 other journals out there. These people just don't like journaling. Like, do you think Riddick or Sawyer journal? No, Riddick wouldn't. Well, maybe he'd probably just be like, "Guess who I got with tonight?" Also, yes.
Yeah, that's something that I continually think about, just because we know Navarre has had a history of putting out false information, and we don't know
So do you
if,
think,
the one generation to change text and another to teach it, we don't know if that happened more than one time.
true?
So
And I think the first thing to do would be to go back, sweet talk Halden, and be like, I need to get back in your dad's library, in his archives, to see what else he has down there, or else we ain't going to survive. If you want to save your brother,
I think they
we
had
need
free
to.
reign to it at this point.
You think so now?
Yeah. No, I think
don't think they were allowed to go back in there.
Yeah, they said that, I think, at the beginning of Onyx Storm, they said that, like, she had, like, free range of the
I don't think she was,
library,
because
in the scribe
it
quadrant.
wasn't till like halfway through or so that King Torrey was like, oh, they're absolved of all of their. Okay, it was probably the first fourth of the book that they're absolved of all of the crimes or whatever they did, because I'm just so glad to have my son back and know where he's at. So I didn't think that she was able to go through his archives. Like, why would he be so willy-nilly? Also,
Yeah, it was
why
at
is
the
he
very
vacant
beginning
this
of the book.
Why is he so vacant? I don't
just-
know if
I
he's
don't
good or
know.
bad.
Who cares?
And I feel like he's
maybe
gonna
he's
come back.
dealing in venom business too.
Maybe he's gonna come back next book. Right.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't really care for King Torrey or Halden.
I need to know more about him. I like Halden because he's just an idiot, but and I think he's gonna have an arc too, unless he's gonna get real weird.
I don't know. So we know there are 6 gods. We've got Malik, the god of death, that we were introduced to in Fourth Wing. We have Dune, who is the goddess of war and strength, who we were also introduced to in Fourth Wing. And then I think Zenal was mentioned in Fourth Wing, but Zenal is the god of luck, and
I think
that
Iron
says
Flame,
that goes hand in hand with chaos.
Yeah.
I think I have my little count down a little bit below. And then you have Amari, who's the queen of the gods, which is Amoralis, the continent. Loyal, who is the goddess of love. And Hideon, which is the god of wisdom. So, me and my little rabbit hole I went down into. Amari is mentioned only 3 times in Fourth Wing and 7 times in Iron Flame, which is minimal considering the island is Amoralis, or the continent is Amoralis, which you would think would have more of an Amari presence, right?
Well, on that note, you forget that
Malik.
Well, they bring up on some of the aisles that are like, "Oh, what do you Amoralis say? What do you Amoralis say?" And they're like, "You don't even know what you're even called." And they're like, "It's the continent." I think they themselves have lost it. So I'm wondering also, that ties back into what we just said, if they have more of the history before the 600s down on the Isles that has been erased from Navarre. Sorry.
Right. You've got Malik, which I had a feeling was going to be mentioned a lot more because it is a war college and there's a lot of death. So Malik was mentioned 15 times in Fourth Wing and 29 times in Iron Flame. And then Zenal, the god of luck, was mentioned 5 times by Violet alone. So all 5 times were mentioned by Violet in Fourth Wing, 6 times in Iron Flame. And then Dune was mentioned 4 times in Fourth Wing, 20 times in Iron Flame. And so this is before we even, obviously, get to the Isles. So I found that interesting that both Dune and Malik had such a increased amount of reference in Iron Flame over Fourth Wing.
I know why. They are Dune and Malik. I've said this last time. I will die on this hill. I will die on this hill.
like reincarnated? You think they're
Something
reincarnated,
like
Dune
they're
and Malik?
favored by them, or they're reincarnated, therefore they will never die. Yes. Ugh, the
So
gods.
we know that the gods have corresponding isles. So the continent is a giant island, or is what I'm going to call it. It's just a giant island. It's Amari. You've got Unbriel, goddess of war, Dune. Hedotis, god of wisdom, Hedian. Delna, god of luck and all. Loisum, god of love, Loyal. Is there an island for Malik that we don't know about?
It's called hell. Just kidding.
But also what I found interesting was that Deverelli, closest to the continent, had some muted greens. There were no magic, no gods. Okay? No magic, no gods, some muted colors. You get a little bit further out to Unbriel. Even more muted, no magic, but they worship the goddess of war, Dune. And then you get a little bit further out and you go to Hedotis, which has even more muted colors than Unbriel and Deverelli. Still no magic. God of wisdom, Hedion. But then you get to Zelna, which is more colorful, has some magic, and it's the god of Lux and all. And we don't know anything about Loisum yet. So is there something in these isles that's causing them to be muted? Is it really because there's no magic in the land? Like, what is there a damper that's causing it to be muted?
Maybe. So when we were talking to Deverelli, the what is his name? Duke of Deverelli. What is that guy's name?
The king of Deverelli, King Cortland?
The king of Deverelli. King Cortland? King Cortland of Deverelli. Yes. He said there's no... He said there's something that they have in place where they cannot have magic. But they've also stated that they don't have breeding grounds, and that's why they don't have magic. But if he didn't have something in place himself, it's probably the breeding grounds, because the barons don't have anything over there, and they're the barons. I mean, that's what they're called. So they're trying to breed more inward. They're trying to feed more inward towards breeding grounds, and they want the hatching grounds where magic is happening because they're dragons. But when you get to Deverelli, we had that instance where he killed Anna Windshire, the guard of Halden, because she was found in their treasury room or whatever, stealing artifacts back that were supposed to belong to the king or to Navarre. And he said, we've had our trade agreement for the last decade for magical artifacts, so they could have something like magic. So they've been trading magical artifacts. Are they magical when they're there, when there's no magic to be had? Magic? Or, I mean, obviously, if you have something that's imbued with magic, it'll still work no matter where you go. We found this out in any place that is barren, has been drained, or like Violet's conduit. Stuff like that will still work. So I'm thinking if they just don't have magic at all, they just don't have hatching grounds or anything like that to give the earth magic. So that's where they're, and like the closest to the continent is where you have a little bit more. So when I looked at...
But Deverelli was closest to the continent and there was no magic.
Right. But the ones that they went to, which is Zenalt, for some reason, when I was thinking about it, I was thinking right below the continent. Here is, so right below Corden, I was assuming was Deverelli. And then the more east you went were all the other isles where they got muted more and more and more.
So you think like the continent's like this, and then the islands kind of skirt the continent like this?
But I thought for some reason they went over a couple, and then Umbriel's at the edge, but then they went all the way over and skipped over these islands and went to the isles that they for where they found the Irids. And now I'm thinking about that as stupid, because they were thinking about just going back to back to back to back. And that's not what they did because they were trying to save time. But for some reason, my brain, I was like, they went straight down to Deverelli, then they went here, then here, and then here, Umbriel. And then they're like, well, instead of going back to Deverelli, we decided to go to these aisles instead and bury or hit Zanal, and then the other ones to bury Traeger and do these other things. I don't know why I thought that, but that's what I thought. It was like these, because they kept getting muted. And then they went back to Deverell like they were going to, and then decided to go to Zanal and then the other aisles. So I thought the ones over here had the magic, and then all of these just got grayer and grayer and grayer, closer to the Barrens, is what I was thinking. And that makes no sense. Or does it make sense?
That doesn't make any sense. But also, they didn't go to Deverelli and then go to Zelna.
I know.
They went from Hedotis to Zelna. So
I know.
Yeah.
My brain was just,
so far we know that there's 5
when I was reading it, and I don't know why. It was just like, yeah, they went here and then decided to go over here.
So we know that there's the continent. We know that there's the 5. So far, we know of the 5 isles, which is Deverelli, Umbriel, Hedotis, Zelna, and Loisum. And then there's 13 minor isles that are charted. So the island that they went to burn Traeger was not on the charts that they had, but from the maps that were given to them from the isles.
Okay. So from this, you have the Barrens over here, right? So I'm thinking that because she decided not to give us a map of this, but I'm hoping she does next time, that because the Barrens are over here and this is Barren, I'm thinking because Cordon's down here, she went to, this is where Deverelli is, and all the isles end up traipsing up this way. So from Barren, so muted, etc., and then greener, and then magic is what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
I have seen other
Rebecca,
illustrations out there, but no one's going to be confirmed unless she releases something. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. Is obviously this side is where they have no dragon breeding grounds, and then obviously closer to the other side there are. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. I don't know, Rebecca. We need a map of the isles in respect to the continent and how all of that plays out, please. Thank you.
So Loisum.
Okay, coming back. Yes.
What do you think Loisum is?
Loisum. I think Loisum is going to have more magic than Zelna. And I imagine
it's
the gods and all, but it's Zelna is the island.
Yeah.
I imagine them being all the kumbaya love, so we did not get Asher, Daxton / Sorengale's manuscript on Loisum. We didn't get to see any excerpts from that. We only got to see the excerpts from the isles. Right. We only got to see it from the isles that they went to. So we don't know what that is yet. Also, well, we're going to get to Asher in a second. But talking about like all the magic in the isles, this is going to bring me back to the Irids again.
Dang it, I wasn't done with the gods
Irids
yet.
are... Okay, go then. What?
We have noted that there are 6 gods. But here's the deal. Amari is queen of the gods. I think she is not a god. She's queen of the gods. So the fact that also Rebecca has used her as, this is the Amoralis content, the continent, I think that there is one more that we don't know about. So it's like the 7th breed, but it's not. It's just that Amari is the 7th because she's queen of the gods. Why would she say queen of the gods if she was just the 7th god?
So you think there's that there's 6 gods and then she's the 7th because she's the queen of the gods?
Yes, because
just like the Irids are the 7th breed of dragon.
Yes. And also because I think that Violet is, if she was not Dune or Malik, like I originally thought, she is like Queen Amari. She is Amari and has her favor where she's been touched by all gods And Amari plays a significant role, even though she was not mentioned much and people kind of forget about her, and the people have forgotten about her and the name of their own continent. But I think that is something that's important, and there will be a sixth god underneath Queen Amari. That's what I think. Sam, back to you. And what would that sixth one be?
Well, you've got wisdom, war, love, luck, death.
No, okay, hold on. What were the pillars at Umbriel? It was book, fire, water. Book, fire, water.
You have book.
Do you have it on
here?
Shield,
sword, fire, water,
sword,
claw.
Okay, so protection maybe. Claw. What would claw be?
Oh, maybe.
Maybe claw's like luck. You don't know, you might get scratched.
I'm thinking maybe claw.
Well,
maybe that's maybe claw.
Because he got the
claw is
card,
representative,
and that was a cat.
But maybe that's representative of, oh my God, what if that's representative of Malik? Cats in Egyptian history were always guardians of the underworld.
Oh, shit, that's right. Because they would weigh your scale. Okay. So Malik, no. Okay, but it's death. You're right. Because what are those? Which one of those represent death? It could be the sword, but the claw.
Well, I think sword is maybe Dune, goddess of war. God of war, goddess of war.
Okay, luck could be.
I'm thinking maybe water or
book,
fire.
Shield.
Because it's chaos.
Ooh,
book would
chaos.
be wisdom.
Almost like fire, maybe.
Shield could be protection. Wisdom. Like, what if there's the god of protection?
Which is water.
Goddess of protection. I don't.
Loyal. I don't know, just water. To me, I love water.
Love.
Okay, there are the pillars with all the symbols at Dune, so I know it means something, and I think it's all the gods. And Amaryllis is the queen of all of them. So protection is good, like the shield.
You know what though? We'll find out whenever we get books 4 and 5.
But
it might take till 2030, but
now.
You just need to watch the TikTok rabbit hole like I do.
Oh, it happens. It's been a lot of sleep token lately. Okay, Irids. Let's get back to the Irids.
Irids. Yeah, we're going to talk about the Irids again. Because we're talking about the Isles, their muted colors, lack of magic. You have the continent that has magic with the exception of the Barrens because all the land's been drained. But what was said twice in Onyx Storm about the Irids is that they are magic. They are magic. The dragons, the 6 breeds, their magic comes from the earth.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Irids' magic comes from the sky.
I agree wholeheartedly.
So if their magic does come from the sky and not from the ground like the rest of the dragons, I wonder if the other dragons can shift their magic to come from the sky and not the ground, hence therefore here within removing magic from the ground completely and removing the power source from the venom.
Henceforth here too within. Agreed. Yeah. So yeah. I wholeheartedly agree that I think their power comes from the sky. So do you remember them when they were translucent and just arrived and then they wafted into the water and then they pieced out? Or maybe they live underwater. Yeah. I don't know. But I'm assuming they live like Care Bears, like in clouds in the sky above the water. And they're like, we'll see you later. We'll send a cloud down for you when we're ready.
Yeah, I don't know. The other thing that I think about was when Andarna broke the bond and went with
Leothin.
Allegedly broke the bond. Went with Leothin and then was back for the battle at the end. Do Irids have like a different sense of time? Can they warp time? Because Andarna was able to stop time when she was an adolescent, when she was a baby, a hatchling, featherling, whatever the fuck they call them. She was able to stop time. So the Feathertails as a whole, can they control time? So I am like, was she really gone for 2 to 3 years in Irid time and then came back? Or did her and Leothan actually never leave and they stayed hidden and just watched what was happening? Because I'm kind of wondering.
Yeah.
I'm kind of wondering if they went to go leave, if they can't control time and they're just living in our timeline. If they went to leave and as they're flying, they're seeing maybe like Zanal's fleet coming, or they saw something that made them turn around and come back. Like I don't remember how much time had passed from the when she broke the bond, because she obviously didn't get out of bed for 4 days, and then it went back into them doing their schoolwork. But this was in like the 30-day period they were in Orisha for their rotation.
Right.
So it was less than 30 days, longer than 4 days
Yes.
that they were gone. So did they see something that caused them to turn back?
Well, I'm trying to figure out, because if that's something they could see, they would have also seen other things and either joined in or not joined in. What I'm thinking is they would have known they were looking for them and arrived to hear their story, but have already known it, but wanting to hear it before they pass judgment on them. That's why I don't know if knowing something ahead of time was the best. It is the best explanation of this. But what I think I do really like, if there were no time lamp, if there was not a time lapse, and the fact that maybe they can control time or it has been many years and then she returned at the exact moment she was needed, she seemed a bit more, I don't know, intelligent or just put together as a dragon. Because I feel like she would have said something, but she did the exact same thing that she did back at Bazgaia at the end of Fourth Wing. I was like, which book was this? Fourth Wing, where she was like blended into stone.
Iron Flame.
And yes, it was
Iron Flame,
where she backed in. She was camouflaged in the stone and then backed in, started slowly moving in to surprise Venom. So maybe that's just her move, because she's like, I'm so good at this. And so she did it again and it was like, oh shit. So I wonder if that's just what she does, or maybe, yes. What I do like is that, but she didn't say a whole lot. And she also was very stoic and calm in that. And afterwards, after Violet was awoken after 12 hours, and she says, oh, he rests. And also, I will make sure they don't burn you. There's no Andarna-isms in that point or before. So I'm wondering if maybe she did grow up a little bit and learn a little bit more about herself when, and the Irids being able to control time a little bit. So maybe she was gone for a while and we don't know about that because it's human time, and Irids can control whatever time that they want and return when they need to. She says, she's always said this, I will be where I'm needed. She said that from day fucking one when we first bonded her. We collectively bonded her.
Yeah,
I will be where I am.
We all bonded
needed.
Andarna.
We all bonded her. Burned her. We all burned at her.
Burned her.
So she does happen to show up where she's needed, and she's like, will you please listen? I will be where I'm needed. And I think she knows that. I think that's part of her iridescentness of a dragon. She knows where she needs to be, and when it's most crucial. I think that's part of her gift.
Okay, so then do they have some sort of precognition?
If they did, why wouldn't they get involved? And they're just like, fuck you, sort it out yourself? Or because none of them are bonded with a human. They don't think
they're worth saving.
They don't think they're worth saving.
Also, Andarna, like, we don't know where this magical island is where there's hundreds of feathertails, Irids, that don't live with any humans. Like, we don't know where that isle is. And we know Andarna can't fly for very long because of her wing. She was having to be strapped to Tarn. So where did they go? Do they have like a magical like portal that they can open up where Andarna doesn't have to fly to their like little magic island?
I told you it's
Or if their magic comes from the sky.
I'm telling you, it's Carolot in the sky.
Carolot.
It's a place where we can go. Carolot. Sorry. I'm sorry. Is my 1900s really getting in there with my Care Bear business?
Yeah.
Sorry, be patient with me. I'm from the 1900s.
Care Bears. Anyways. Okay. So yeah, that's the Irids.
But real
they
quick, because
also
we haven't gone off on this part yet. I mentioned it before, the feather tails. They said, "What did you do to your tail?" And she goes, "What do you mean? I got to pick my tail." They're like, "What?" She picked something that was significant to her, which was a poisoned sword tail?
Scorpion tail. She
scorpion tail.
A scorpion tail.
Which is poisoning. And I hope she uses it. Why didn't she fucking use it on the freaking venom? Maybe she will. Because Violet was stabbed while she was in her...
With the poison.
Yeah, she was stabbed when it was poisoned. And it's something that resonated her in the dreamless sleep, and I think that's why she picked it. But it seemed like the Feathertails did not know that you could do that, but also none of them are bonded with a human. So, but they were very, like, taken back. Are you serious? What did you do to your tail? So was that like a big no-no? Or what did you do? Or is it something that is going to be so unique and specific that will help immensely, because Indarna is completely different than all of them, and she will help save mankind?
I don't know. There's something there.
Okay, sorry.
I don't know.
Keep going.
Oh no. They did say when they were on the island that there is no cure, and they would need to drain the land, face starvation, and then face the abominations that they have become. But then also said something about perhaps their offspring can change. So do venons have sex and make venon babies?
Oh, you know what? That's a good question.
Question number one.
I mean, we know some of them were half venom do have the relations.
But yeah, would they be able to impregnate each other?
I don't see why not. They're not dead. Oh, is there someone that, like, starting an army? Could you imagine, like, a venom mom, like, God damn it. She's got to raise this fucking baby. Who the fuck else could do this?
But so two venons have sex and have a baby. But wait, is the baby venom, or is the baby a normal human that would have to turn venom?
Okay,
because the baby didn't channel from the ground.
The venom are coming in, just consenting normal stuff, and then creating venom babies. So that they are now people that are like, okay, we're venom, we gotta go to where we need to go. My father's calling me, or whatever. I feel ashamed of what I just said.
Is it like a Twilight scenario where it's like a vampire man can impregnate a female human that's not a venom? So, like, is it
that's what
a venom man is impregnating a non-venom human, and then they have a hybrid offspring? Like, is this like a Twilight scenario that we're gonna have here?
This is now how I feel.
I'm so
like maybe I'm just ashamed at what I just said. Because, well, we all know why. But I don't think that's what's happening. I think they're just trying to get people to turn venom. It's like, again, I'm gonna go with The Walking Dead. They can't make Walking Dead babies, just like in Game of Thrones. You can't make White Walkers or walkers or whites. You have to turn them for your army. So that's what I'm thinking. But they're also, like, dead, and the venom aren't dead.
But the Irids said perhaps their offspring can change. So do they mean their offspring or their offspring and have venom babies?
Which offspring are you talking about?
Or
their offspring or their offspring?
Maybe. Wait. Maybe Violet and Xaden need to have a baby, and the baby is the cure to venonism. I don't think she would write that in there, though. That doesn't seem like a very.
She didn't want to bring a baby into the scenario where the world's gonna end or whatever, and I appreciate that. I feel like everything gets ruined by like
war.
a baby bringing into it. It's no offense, because I have a child and I love her to fucking death, but don't do that. This is like life and death scenario type shit. I don't want anyone imprinting on my child and some dumb crap. Please just save Xaden and live happily
love you,
ever
Stephanie
after.
Meyer.
I need you to have more sex and then live happily ever after, or die together. Figure it out. Die while having sex. Oh,
They're not going to die together. Just stop it.
Could you imagine? I'm going to die here right in this bed, and I will die with you.
Okay. We're going to move on. We're going to talk about Asher Daxton / Sorengale. So on my little research journey I went on, I think he was Asher Daxton, and he took Sorengale as a last name, which goes back to like the comment that you said earlier, is Sorengales don't, aren't carried off a thing. They walk. So
walk off the field.
Lilith was like a bulldozer. She's probably like, no, we're taking my last name. Change yours. So obviously she wore the pants in the family. It's
Maybe.
fine. And so I got to looking at military ranks, like officer ranks. And as I went back and looked at the blurbs of the chapters in which Asher wrote the different books on the different isles, it got me thinking, okay, so Colonel Daxton's Guide to Excelling in the Scribe Quadrant was not Asher, because to have been a colonel would have been later on in life. And this was obviously written a while ago. So this had to have been one of Asher's relative. I don't know if it was a parent, because he was not a colonel as a Daxton. He was a colonel as a Sorengale, unless he used a pen name. But I don't think so, because in his journals, in his research that he did, Violet had mentioned when they were flying into Unbriel that her dad had visited this island over 30 years ago. And so he wrote Unbriel, the Isle of Dune, by Second Lieutenant Asher Daxton. So second lieutenant, you're like at the bottom down here, right? And then you come to first lieutenant, and then you like go up from there. Hedotus, Isle of Hedion, he was Captain Asher Sorengale. And then when he went to Zelna, he was Major Asher Sorengale.
Yeah.
And then when he wrote the history of the Second Crovelin Uprising, he was Lieutenant Colonel Asher Sorengale. So based on these,
Lieutenant Colonel.
And then the other thing that caught my attention was when they were on Hedotus, Ferris mentions to Violet, oh, you're Asher Daxton's girl. So he had been to that island more than one. Yeah, you have been to that isle more than once, because when he was there before, when he wrote the book, he was Captain Asher Sorengale. And so I can't see him visiting these isles 30 years ago, but then fast forward, he's writing them now. Like I feel like he's had multiple trips to these isles, and we don't know what his rank was when Violet was 6 years old, when he took her to get dedicated at Unbriel at the Temple of Dune.
Because if he were writing about excelling in the scribe quadrant, let's go back before all of this. If he was Daxton before he turned to Sorengale, he wouldn't have been colonel at all. That's very early. There's no way he would have that name. And then even if you put that afterward, after he would change his name, Lieutenant Colonel Asher Sorengale, he wouldn't have been Daxton at that point. So yeah, I think that
that's why I think it was a relative.
I agree. So then he's a scribe of a scribe.
Right. Which, if it runs in the family, writers run in the family. Why wouldn't scribes run in the family?
Well, here's the other question. Did he learn all of his shit from his parent in order to put Violet down that path?
I don't know. And this is...
He wouldn't have been able to figure that all out himself, would he?
I don't know. But I definitely think there's something with Asher because he's the one that took her to get dedicated at the Temple of Dune in Unbriel because it had been outlawed in Navarre and Promio. So he had obviously been to these islands before and multiple times. So was he researching? And this like goes back to like we obviously have Arik, who is full on precognition.
Right.
So at some point, did Asher talk to somebody who was a precog at the time and was like, this is what you need to do because this is what's in the future? And then you kept having the priestesses at the Dunes Temple saying that her path is not set. We still see all these possible paths for her.
Yeah.
So did he research all of the islands and all of the gods and have her dedicated to all?
I'm thinking so, yeah. That's what I think. And we need to figure out who that sixth one is.
Yeah. And we learned that Asher's mom is still alive, Niara, who lives in the Deaconshire province.
Which is up north. Right.
Is this where Asher grew up? Like, did he grow up in Deaconshire? Like, is that the family home? I don't know.
I'm sorry, I'm making you talk the whole time.
But we do know.
So we know that he took Violet to Dune's temple when she was 6 in Umbriel. We find out that Lilith was not happy about this, and it caused a rift between Niara, Asher's mom, and the family. And they like cut ties after that. She was like, this is not okay. Shouldn't have done that. And for some reason, Brennan and Mira know about this, and they've never told Violet. So was there someone else that Asher may have spoken with that had, like you said, precog, that told him that she should have been dedicated? And of course, you have all of these people, all of these writers that have different signets. He wouldn't have been able to figure this out himself, and unless he was just a crazy madman, just deep in his own like thoughts and books, just been like, I need to do this, and he just like went nuts. He did it for a reason, and I think he was onto it, which also still makes me believe that he was murdered. So
yes,
but what throws me off is that Brennan and Mira knew this and never talked to her about it. Well, I think before Brennan could even talk to her about it, because she was like 14 or something, he's been dead. Mira never said anything about it, and she's been off for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years maybe. Like, I guess maybe they're probably having an excuse like, well, was there a time?
I don't think they knew.
Why don't you talk about it?
I don't think that they knew. They knew that obviously, like, they didn't talk to their grandmother anymore. Like, they knew that. But they didn't know Violet was dedicated. They didn't know that they took her to get dedicated. And what Violet said was like, this is why Dad was like drilling these things into you so that one day you could put this together. But yeah, I don't think they knew, like knew.
Well, she said that though in her room after she like decided to get up after Darner leaving her. And she was like, you kept this from me?
That's because Mira had just went and visited Niara.
Okay. Do you think she just learned then?
Remember when Mira took her little, like, because Mira took her little personal vacation days after they came back from their trip to Deverelli, because Mira was upset about the tomes that were left behind for Violet. And so when they came back, she went on that like she took her personal time, and then she went and visited Niara. And I think that's when Niara was just like, this is what happened.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so but Brennan knew,
and then
but Brennan's been dead, and they've never really talked about it. There was no time to talk about it.
I don't think Brennan knew either.
Shit. Well, he said, he's like, well, I knew that he did that. And she's like, well, why didn't you talk about it?
No, he did not know. No, they did not know. But there were certain things that Asher was trying to drill into them when they were children, so that when the time came, they could piece those things together. They did not know.
Okay. But
the way that scene, I was going to say the way that scene read was that when Mira found out, Mira then went to talk to a priestess which this is what I'm like, is there like a computer system that they're like, oh, hey, yeah, this person here, her path is
Hey,
not
Alexa.
set. This is blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Or was this information that they had told Niara and Niara told Mira?
Fair. Yeah, okay, no, so that's valid. What it threw me off after that, I guess, is probably no, this makes more sense because Mira says the priestess came to her and she's like, what did she say? And she said, well, the heart that beat for you will do the right thing for the wrong reason. That's what threw me off. I was like, well, Mira just knew all this shit the whole time. So, but no, if she went to go seek a priestess after that to get answers that she was touched and not dedicated or whatever, then and so then that would be, yeah, no, there hasn't been time to tell her because it's still pretty fresh. It's very odd. Okay. All right.
But that's why like Mira was kind of like avoiding Violet a little bit.
Probably should have fucking
She's
told
like,
her.
because you think I'm gonna turn Venom, and she's like, well, yes, no, maybe, like, I don't know. Anyways, so
Idiot.
Asher, we know, wrote these books, and so we still have yet to learn about Loisum, the Isle of Loisum. I still wonder if there's, because there's 6 books, right? So we know that there's Hedotus,
6 tomes. Yeah.
Zelna, right? There, Hedotus, Zelna, and Unbriel. Was there a Devarelli book?
That's a question. Something has to be, maybe Devarelli is Loisum. Well, there's Loisum. Is Loisum
No, because they were going to go to
Loisum.
Loyal.
Okay.
Loisum is the other isle, which is the Isle of Loisum is the island for Loyal. Right.
So they did not
island.
get there because they made it to the random ass ones that had ears on it.
So I'm guessing that, so of the 3 tomes that we know about, which are Hedotus, Unbriel, and Zelna, we're going to assume one is on Loisum, the Isle of Love. What are the other 2? Is one on the continent? Is one on an island of Malik?
Yeah, so we have Dune and Malik. Well, no.
Or
Dune is Unbriel. Malik.
That's why I'm like, is there another island? Because there's 6 books.
6 tomes.
What are the other 3?
Books. You're making me confused at how many Rebecca's coming out with. It's 5 books. Weirdly, she did not pick 6. Unless there's a surprise 6th one.
True. Sorry. Tomes.
Oh my God, Rebecca, you're
Asher
gonna ruin me.
wrote 6 tomes.
There is gonna be a surprise 6th book. I just know it. She will not end it at 5. Get out of here. Get out of here.
Maybe
Rebecca, I know how
it
your
will
brain works.
be.
She keeps telling
maybe
you 6.
It will be like a.
She keeps
like
telling you 6. It's going to be a 6. She's gonna have a 6.
Maybe it will be
book.
like a. Maybe it will be like a Sarah J. Maas novella, like The Assassin's Blade, or like A Court of Frost and Starlight. Maybe we'll get like a little happy
maybe,
one.
But it's part of it.
I don't know.
Like, no, that was just information that had like nothing in it. And then also, what was the other one you mentioned? Oh, Assassin's Blade. No, it was a prequel, but she wrote it like 3 years after the first 3. So like it made sense, and I read it in that order. This, I swear to God, she keeps saying 6. I think she's telling us there's going to be a 6th book of some random ass shit that wraps up for us in the end, or like some people that we want to know about, and we're gonna be like,
it's gonna.
Oh my.
Maybe it'll be a prequel, or maybe it'll be like a side Riddick book.
No. Okay, if it's gonna be a prequel, it'd be like how the Asher and Soren Gale, or it's gonna be the first 6 and how that shit started.
We are getting way off of topic here.
I hid
like we
my
have
journal.
This is what happens
when
I go.
Sorry.
This is what happens when you do theories. It's just like you just spiral. You freaking spiral. Anyways,
all right. Let's go to gifts.
I want to go back to. I want to go back to Zelma. Ooh. And the gifts that were given. She said that these are important, and I'm like, okay, how are these going to come into play? There's a reason behind all of these gifts. So Mira was the first one that got a gift, and it was a painted bottle of wine. And I didn't catch that the first time around. what is painted on this bottle?
Oh, she probably
And
didn't
then she
keep
says,
it.
I'm going to need this.
Who doesn't
Well, it's bad
not
luck
need
to
wine?
throw away a gift from Zanal.
Correct.
True.
Oh, is that why
But
is that why her throat got slit? Because she accidentally threw away the bottle after she drank it? Oh, was it a full bottle?
it was a full bottle of wine, but the bottle was painted. What was
Okay.
painted on the bottle?
That's true. So,
I
but if
would
she
like to
drank
know.
it and threw away the bottle, as many of us will, it is bad luck to throw away a gift of Zanal. Maybe that's why she got throat cut
Right.
to begin
Is
with.
that a case of the dead skis? Yeah.
I'm going to need
maybe.
this. Or maybe she needs it in a different way.
I didn't
to save her.
I didn't pay attention to Marin's gifts, but Marin got 2 orange tunics. And if you don't know what a tunic is, it is a shirt. So
Well,
2
it can be longer than
orange
that.
tunics.
Imagine a knight's
You
tale.
know, it's funny when I think about tunic, I think of Old Navy's tunics.
I do not. I think of a knight's tale.
You remember like the commercials with all the tunics?
Yes.
Okay. Way off there. But Marin has 2 little brothers. And people are speculating that they're twins. I don't know. I don't know that it said that in the book. I went back to try to find it, but I didn't see anything about that. But the color orange actually symbolizes youthful connections.
Okay. Dane. Dane now.
Talk about our boy Dane. Mm-hmm.
He gets a slap in the face. Let's be honest. We all kind of snickered at that one. He loves Violet and she's with Xaden and it's like a slap in the face. But you know, everyone was holding back their laughter at that. It's just like a whoosh. And then after everything, we forgot to say this. After you get a gift, you can't complain and you have to say thank you. So he gets slapped and he's like, thank you. We're thinking, is this Zanal paying Dane back for being an ass hat in Iron Flame in Fourth Wing and betraying Violet? Is it a wake up slap? Is it like paying attention? Like pay attention to what the fuck's going on? Hilarious, and I like it. Have at you, Garrick. Are you ready? He gets a rusty bucket.
Garrick.
Rusty bucket can symbolize. Thank you,
rusty
Sam, for this.
Bucket.
A rusty bucket. I was thinking SpongeBob because that's where the establishment is under the sea, where they Bikini Bottom, where they sell their burgers and stuff. But a rusty bucket can symbolize decay, or something. The chum bucket. Decay, neglect, and the passage of time. Ooh. In a metaphorical sense, it can represent something that has been worn down or is no longer useful. Is this foreshadowing? Is it a magic bucket that allows them to transport the dragon eggs? But is it foreshadowing of time that is no longer useful? Is he the one that turns? Ooh, man, I don't know. Sam, what's your next one?
So do you remember at the end of the book where I think it was like Imogen's point of view chapter where he shows up and he's got almost nothing left.
Nothing in the tank.
There's nothing. The tank is on E. Like he is running on fumes at this point. So I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Is he the one that channeled and turned?
That's what I'm thinking as well.
But my favorite is Arik, who got the broken mirror, the broken hand mirror that made him bleed. So a broken mirror is often associated with the superstition that it brings 7 years of bad luck, rooted in ancient beliefs about mirrors reflecting the soul and the god's ability to observe souls through them. And we know how the priestess was like from one servant to another. Okay, right?
Okay.
So then I'm thinking, okay, well, if you have a broken mirror, and this is like what I was talking to you about earlier today, could the different shards represent the different paths that could possibly happen or different futures? And the fact that he got cut and bled, meaning one of those paths would cause him to die. And then in the book, there was a scene, and I don't know if I have it in here somewhere, but he was cutting into his roast chicken and says, Halden will be king, not me. And although a terrible one, I will most likely die in this war protecting others. Now, knowing that he has precog,
Most
is this
likely.
one of the possible futures that he saw that he's going to
Yeah.
die?
Okay.
And so is that mirror a symbolism for that?
Maybe that's helpful to him where he can see other fragmented ways it can go. Whereas before, maybe he just saw one precog.
Oh, like a
So
looking
this
glass,
fragmented part, he can see different ways
like a magic
after
mirror.
it cut him. It's like a magic mirror. But here's the other thing. Do you remember getting into King Tori's archives? You needed the blood of a spawn or of the Tory line. So the blood of him, I'm wondering if that is significant of the spawn. That's significant in this as well. But if it's broken already and took his blood, obviously maybe might give him different ways to see different outcomes instead of just the one. So it's a gift maybe on your signet to see different ways it can go. And it's like you said earlier when we were talking about Doctor Strange, like you can see one outcome and maybe that is the one most likely, so you went with that one. I like that. Oh, but it wasn't also rusty and shit? No, I don't know.
Yeah.
But hand it to him backwards. Here, here's not the handle. Just hold the fucking mirror. And he's like, okay, how?
Here's
Thanks,
the broken
man.
glass side. Yeah. So Xaden gets an empty glass box with pewter hinges. So it's just an empty glass box about like the size of his foot, because obviously it's big enough to hold the blade of Orisha.
You know what they say about a size of man's foot?
I thought you were gonna say wingspan. Yeah.
We don't have wings
Whatever.
in this one.
Is it symbolic? I know. But is the empty glass box symbolic because he is Venin and has no soul and he is an empty shell? Or is this a vessel to hold his soul?
I don't like that because he puts that dagger in there without the gem emerald in it, which is his, puts it in the ring for her. So the dagger maybe represents everything and that is where it should go. So like he values everything here, including her, which the only gem is on her because he can't put her in a glass box. But I don't like the fact that they gave him a glass box thinking it's like empty. So maybe he filled it with something that is purposeful and it will be something with him like, fuck you, this is not, I'm not an empty soul. Here's my soul, it's her. I guess maybe is what I'm trying to think of. You can take your compass and put it in my empty box.
Yeah, so we get to our girl Violet, who gets a broken black compass on a black chain, and the giver says use it wisely. So I think that this will lead her. Thank you. I think this will lead her to Xaden, which is her true north, or to a cure, because in chapter 46 she says his gaze jumps to mine like a compass pulled north. So I think this is a compass to Xaden, to her true north. Or will it help her navigate through dreamwalking? Or maybe it will help her find Xaden in dreamwalking.
Okay. I like this. I like both of them. My mind immediately went to Jack Sparrow with his fucking compass. Like, where's the rum? Oh, there it is. Oh, yes. That way. Yo, Lance. Okay. It's weird and awkward, but I think it is going to be something that will take her to where she needs to go. If it's not Xaden, it's something that will get her to where she wants to be to solve this mystery and fix the earth. I'm not sure they can fix anything, but I think that they will get close, and to her it's just save Xaden. it's the only thing she wants. Unless for some reason her shit changes, because before it was, I will not die today. I will not die today. I will save him. I will save him has been her motto. The sad thing is that when you have someone like Rebecca Yarros writing the story and saying that she's been listening to Taylor Swift the whole fucking time and is like, oh, I can save him. No, really, I can. And then at the end, it's like, oh, wait, maybe I can't. And you're like, you've got to be fucking kidding me.
Maybe I can't.
But maybe that's what she meant, because he just turned full Venom at the end. I don't know what full Venom Xaden looks like. I'm kind of scared, but I'm into it. I don't want their...
Hopefully he doesn't get like all like pasty and like lose his hair.
I think that's over a many decades. You know
gross.
what I mean? Like the old ones. Like Jack didn't look like that. They're new. It's like over so much time.
Jack wasn't a full-on Venom. Jack was just an initiate.
I understand that. But I don't think they lose all of that stuff. Theophany wasn't described that way. She said she was once very beautiful. She was a little bit pale and she had silver hair, because Dune, but also very beautiful. So, but she was also she was at least 60, I think, because she was like probably around her mom's age is what she was thinking. I'm thinking that, yeah, the older
I think she was older. I think she was hundreds
the more
of years
you
old.
pale, because that's just part of life draining from you. So I think your life draining from you is also your soul draining from you. So I don't think your soul's gone once you fucking just channel immediately. You might have some, cosmetic vein reactions, but other than that, I don't think he's just gonna be Xaden, but with just like with red lightning from his eyes that she can fix.
Okay, so Riddick, he gets kisses. Was he touched or dedicated by Xanal? And so he's blessed by Xanal. Drake gets broccoli, the cat. Because why not?
No, you forgot about Cat.
Oh, yeah, cat. Actual cat. Cat gets a giant ruby necklace, which I think was foreshadowing of her becoming next in line to the Promish throne and Queen Mariah's death.
That makes sense.
And poor Traeger got a case of the deads. Oh. But this had to happen for them to go off course and meet the Irids.
So, real quick, Drake got a claw card and got a cat, a mewling kitten, and they named him Broccoli, because why not? It's like, because nobody wants it, but it's good for you. So, Broccoli. Traeger, yes, gets an arrow, and it's an arrow through the heart. And because they cannot react, Drake was holding Cat's mouth and holding her against his chest while she's sobbing while Traeger dies. And then all the dragons together. Yes. Went over all that. I just was very sad that that's what happened.
Yeah.
So do you keep the arrow? Is that something you're supposed to keep?
But like, who keeps it? Because Traeger's dead and it was his gift.
That's fair. They bury it with him.
No.
All right.
Violet. All right. Let's talk about our girl Vi. There's a lot of shit that we need to talk about with Violet. Number one, the source of her hair. We still do not know what the dedication entails. How did her hair turn half silver and not full silver? Number one, because the priestess says, "Oh my gosh, do you dye your hair?" No, we use lye and mansawa flower. And she's like, "What? No, like my hair is just like this." So what happened that the color leached from her hair? I think she's going to go back to Unbriel, and hopefully we get some details on what all of this entails and what specifically happened.
But
I want to know what they do to them.
What do they do to them? She saw another girl with the same type of hair, so she was, I'm assuming, just touched and not
fully dedicated.
So I think she's gonna go talk to that girl who's like 12 or something like that. And so that makes more sense. Like, but that's different than just someone who's just dedicated. There's got to be something completely different. Well, obviously it's different, but there's something else there that I think is more. Oh no. What if Violet turns Venom and that girl ends up being the girl that she needs to be to balance out?
No, we're not going there. Violet's not going to turn. I don't think Violet's going to turn.
Okay. But I'm just saying. Okay.
Because Rebecca said that she initially had Violet turning and then had Xanad turn.
So does this give her some additional power with her hair this way? Theophany was a Dune priestess, but she wanted more power. She left, turned Benin. Does this mean anyone can turn Benin? Well, yeah, it does. But regular people or just people with some resemblance of power, can they, how many people that have been in service to any other temple have turned like her? Like she was specific in the way that she had to have been killed, which was a part of that temple had to be imbued in her or, stabbed in her because she couldn't return there. How many other people are like that out there with her?
Right.
Are there more?
And how much power, like she was a fully dedicated priestess. So how much power did she actually have when she said, I craved more power. Like I wanted more power. And
I
so
don't
like
think as a
how much
priestess-
power did they have before?
Yeah, right. I don't think as a priestess that you should have power at all. So like was she
But she said she did.
what was she a writer before? Because I feel like you wouldn't have power
I don't
there.
think so.
They didn't have power there at Umbriel, right? So if you are someone who was dedicated, you have some sort amount of power, is what you're saying? And then she wanted more,
Wait
so
a
she decided
minute.
to channel?
Wait a minute. Remember they said that it was either like the 200s or 200 years ago is when the dedication ended on the
When you
continent.
were a certain age. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they said that you couldn't take a child to be dedicated. So, what if she was a child back then, like before this was banned? The continent has magic. And so, what if being dedicated on the island, Dune, allows you to have some sort of magic, whereas there's no magic on Umbriel? So, those priestesses that are dedicated, they don't have magic.
So you're saying her
What if
being
she
from the
had magic
continent, she already
because
had magic? But why would she have magic as a
because the
2-year-old?
continent had magic. I think like
I don't
once
think
she was dedicated, that's how I think she's old. I think Theophany is old
So you think she was dedicated when she was like 2
and was in
then was brought
existence
back to the
before the dedicating.
brought back to the continent
don't-
and then became like a writer or something?
They had temples in the continent where you can
Right.
be dedicated, but
Right.
they outlawed it like in the 200s.
Right.
So what I'm
So,
saying
no,
is Theophany
that's
is that old. What if she was dedicated a lot like 400 years ago, and because the continent has magic, being dedicated as a high priest, a priestess, whatever, she developed power because the continent has magic.
Okay. Not because of dragons, just because it's on the
So
continent.
maybe
and
she
the
was not
continent has
from
magic.
Umbriel.
Got it.
Yeah, maybe she's not from Umbriel. Maybe she's from the continent.
Okay. Maybe, yeah. Well,
So Violet.
So how many others? Yeah.
Yeah, we don't know because like they said that the two gods that required full dedication for life were Dune and Loyal, right? So those are the ones when you were dedicated, you had to be dedicated for life, love, and war.
Okay.
So
I'm
that
excited
leads
to see
me
what
to
Loyal has in
wonder
store for us.
if her path is not set. If we know our girl Violet, she's just going to smite all the gods and do whatever the hell she wants. But what if she was dedicated to all of the gods? Or what if she was dedicated or touched by Loyal? Or maybe Xaden was touched by Loyal and not fully dedicated.
That makes sense. Nyara, their grandmother, obviously has more information on this and their parents. And I think Violet will visit her in the 4th book and talk with all of this with her. She might be a key to a lot of information that she needs to know. So the Dune priestess to Auric gave the shard of the temple in the dagger to end Theophany. And the letter said, from the Dune priestess to Auric, I pray to her, which we're assuming is Dune, that she need not use it to avoid reacquainting herself with the other that holds her favor. Well, she fucking used it. But does that mean that she is now reacquainting herself with another god? And I'm thinking Malik, because death, she just killed Theophany. Reacquainting herself with the other. She just said the other. She didn't say another. The other
that holds her favor.
That holds her favor. So was she touched by all, or was she touched by like just 2? It is very interesting to think of, and I've been thinking about it constantly. What are your thoughts on this?
I still think that Asher took her to get dedicated to all of the gods.
Okay. So there's the
She was
two, though.
familiar with all of the isles
There's
that
two
require
you
full
have.
dedication for life.
So I'm thinking it's the other one that she might have reacquainted herself with. That's Loyal, right? Loyal. I thought it was Malik, but you said
Or
it was Loyal.
Loyal and Dune require a lifetime of service.
Right. So she said the other.
But she's not dedicated to Dune. She was touched by them. So what if she was touched by all the gods?
I think that is correct. But the fact that she says to avoid, she need not use it, to avoid reacquainting herself with the other that holds her favor. She used
Maybe it's Malik. Maybe maybe one of the paths is Violet's death.
Do you think it'll be like a
So I don't know.
like a Harry Potter Sorcerer's Stone type situation? Like you have a resurrection stone, I mean, to resurrect yourself.
No.
She's got to have the rune on her palm like fucking Brennan to avoid
No.
reacquainting herself with the other that holds her favor. She need not use it. She need not use it. But I also still think if you didn't, it's still Malik. It wouldn't be Loyal if those are the two that require lifetime dedications. I just think that she
maybe Malik holds her favor. I don't know.
But also, what the fuck does this woman know? Why does she know this? She knows something about her. She knows her. I pray to her.
All the priestesses
need not
do.
use
That's
it.
what I'm saying. Do they have like some computer system where they're like sharing like
Hold on, wait a second. She says, I pray to her.
I don't know.
I'm assuming because it was capitalized is Dune. I pray to her, Dune, that she not need
Dune.
to use it to avoid reacquainting herself with the other that holds her favor. So maybe it's not Violet at all, and it's about Dune herself.
Who holds Dune's favor?
Amari?
Malik?
Amari?
Oh, dude. This
Then I
make
would
my
say
brain
probably
hurt.
Malik holds her favor. Her favor. Unless it's the loyal
so
one.
if you think about it this way, you
Warm
have
love.
the goddess of war. What happens in war?
You die or you
What happens
live.
in war?
People
you
die.
die.
And you die. Yeah.
So
what's going to happen?
If Dune, who is like the goddess of war, you're sending people to Malik. So would Malik hold her favor?
Okay, here's the other question. Maybe the sixth god is where they go to balance your you said cat the claw. You would have an Egyptian
like a judge
balance your life and where your soul would actually go. And Malik is just the death gate that you go through. So then your end result is where does your soul go? And maybe because you used it for good, Xaden's soul will go wherever, and then so if they die, their souls get reunited elsewhere because they'll live forever.
I think that's a stretch, but maybe. Maybe.
Everything we are talking about is a stretch. This is a fake world we're talking about with fake people made up by a woman who we can't stop worshiping. Like, let's be honest here. All right. So her dedication, her path is not set.
Right. But I want to talk about her power though. Do you remember in Fourth Wing when she manifested and she's like, or maybe it was when they were in Reston, but she's like, I am power, like I am infinite.
I am infinite.
Whatever.
I'm every storm that has ever been.
Right. Okay. When they're flying to get the citrine, she says that she has the urge to pluck strands from the sky to weave runes, which leads me to think that the Irid's magic comes from the sky and not the ground, because I feel like that was Andarna's power. Because she always said Andarna's power was always more approachable. And so she had this like overwhelming urge to do that from the sky. I think the Irids draw magic from the sky.
Yeah.
And I think we already talked about this, but is she more powerful because she is God touched?
I think so. Because for one year, first year and a second year,
that adds like a whole
insane. Yes.
Yeah. So if Irids draw magic from the sky, is she the one that caused the storm and lightning strike when they were in Unbriel?
Here's the thing. Like I feel like yes, because of where she was at emotionally, and that always happens when she's emotional. But I also feel like because it was the Temple of Dune, that the goddess of Dune was like, I don't like this, or blah blah blah. I think Dune was interfering somehow, if that makes sense. If it wasn't her, I feel like it was Dune doing
I
it.
think it was
Because
Andarna.
you think it was Andarna?
I think it was Andarna.
You think she can do it?
Because I think she pushed the power to Violet. So Andarna had a rage. She was enraged that Violet was fighting Queen Morales.
Well,
And then Violet also, because you know how you pick up on your dragon's emotions, and she wasn't blocking out Andarna's emotions. And so she also had like this rage and anger. And then she said that she felt the heat. She felt the sizzle of rain on her skin, which happens like when she's overheated, when she's wielding, that like it like evaporates or sizzles on her skin. And then the snap and the lightning happened.
That's a good point. But here's the other thing. She found out that Andarna actually was there with her. Wasn't that right? She was like, she was
by the temple,
one of the pillars, and she blended in as one of the pillars. She's
like, I saw golden eyes of the priestess, like the Dune, looking at me. So I think she was like right in front of Dune.
I don't like this. Interesting. Okay.
Oh, but then, so that makes me think about when they were with the Eards on the beach, and the Eards were like, you've handed her something much more dangerous to wield, haven't you? What if it was just pure magic?
Pure magic.
Just pure magic.
We thought about that since the beginning at Fourth Wing. Like, it's not lightning, it's pure magic. But she is comfortable around storms, so she manifests as lightning. I think she can do more than that.
Right. She's pure power. What if she's pure power from Tarn and pure magic from Andarna?
I like it. Well, Scott.
So we learned that, because it wasn't clearly apparent to us in Iron Flame, Violet's a dreamwalker. So she can go and walk into and or meddle in people's dreams. And Rebecca has said that her signet is only 10% developed at this point. So will she be able to communicate
in Iron Flame or in Onyx Storm?
Her signet developed in Iron Flame, but she's saying in Onyx Storm her signet is only 10% developed, because it's only happened
developed in Onyx Storm.
I think at this point like 5 times. Right.
10%.
So will she be well, yes, we think that she'll be able to communicate with Xaden in her dreams. But I think the biggest question of all is, are they going to have dream venom sex?
That's what I'd like to know. Asking for a friend who is my sister or anyone else who wants to know, are they going to have venom sex in the dreams? Because they're not going to be able to meet up. And if they do, that'd be great too. All I'm saying is, I can't take a book of fantasy dragons in love without some sex. So I hope you enjoyed my song. That was weird.
Shit.
Thank you. Tune in later for my rendition of This Is What We Had with Venom Sex. I'm not ashamed.
Okay. So if she can meddle in dreams, and hopefully have venom sex, do we think she'll be able to kill people? Like kill venom in her dreams? Like has some nice venom sex and then comes over here and like kills Berwyn in her dreams? Like, do you think that's...
You dead.
Well, not her dreams, but maybe his dreams.
You basic.
Do venom dream? Well, obviously Xaden was a venom and he dreamed. So like...
They are in there because they enter them, but we'll find out. Maybe she can enter Jax to like start off with and to figure out how that works out and then go from there.
Wait a minute. You know how signets have like balances? Is it all signets? Is it all signets? So like, so there's a venom dreamwalker,
right? That's the one. So that's the one that Theophany. Oh no, I was saying the distance walker. Well, yeah, because that's how they entered into all of their dreams to begin with, right?
That's what I'm saying. Like, is Berwyn a dreamwalker?
Was that Violet connecting them the whole time?
Well, is Berwyn really Naelin?
Is Berwyn... Well, calm down. I think Naelin is not a bad person, and he's gone. Don't worry about him.
Naelin is totally...
Calm down. Calm down. But Is he a dream walker because someone had gotten into his dreams, but also Violet started? So did Violet start it where she was able to bring in these people into the dreams? So maybe she didn't have dreams until Violet started manifesting, which really sucks.
Great question. Well, our girl Violet is now the Duchess of Tyrrendor. Good for you, Violet.
Congrats.
Do we think
Pinkies
Xaden
up.
left a journal for her?
For sure. Oh,
You think he did?
So many journals and uncovered correspondence. It's gonna be great.
Okay. We're gonna talk about Venom business real quick. Venom business.
Venom
We
business.
still don't know who he is. The mavens or the sages still refer to an ominous he. Is this General Daramore? Because Venom are immortal and live for centuries, according to our girl Theophany.
Not
goes back
completely
to
immortal where they live forever, but they do age at a point, but they're technically are, the technical term is immortal because they will live for a long time before they die and can be killed.
So this goes back to I don't think that they were ever really vanquished. I think they never went away. And I 10,000,000% believe that fucking Daddy Atos is working with them. Fucking asshole.
Agreed.
I don't know if he is a Venom, because I feel like if you want to be a Venom, you can channel and become a Venom. So I don't know if he's an initiate, but yeah, I definitely think he's Venom. And then going back to the very end of the book, who is the fucking brother? Rebecca says, pay attention to who is not present at the end. I have two theories here. One, it's Garrick, because he was so drained at the end, and Xaden says he's watched me struggle for the last 5 months, which is how long he's been Venom. And there are, from the beginning, only Bodhi, Garrick, and Imogen knew. So it's either Bodhi or Garrick. Part of me feels like it's Bodhi because at the end in the Xaden POV chapter, when he's talking to Sigale and they're trying to come up with their plan on what they're going to do, he said, you saw what happened. We have no other choice. So he kept trying to get Bodhi to mentally prepare, because if something were to happen to Xaden, he's next in line to take over Tyrrendor. So if Bodhi now becomes Venom, that doesn't leave anybody left in the family. And Tyrrendor would basically go back to Navarre, and they would figure out who they're going to put there. And so he's like, we don't have any other choice. So this is literally what we have to do, which kind of goes back to, I think Xaden knew Arik was a precog, or they had some sort of conversation, and part of the mirror with the multiple paths, Xaden, I think, was he got the ring for Violet, okay, here's one path, Bodhi becomes Duke of Tyrrendor. Here's another path, Bodhi turns, Violet has to now become Duchess of Tyrrendor. So that is a lot. I think Bodhi turned, Garrick is with Arik delivering the 6 eggs. That's my final answer.
So I'm with you. I like that because Bodhi has been MIA for a while. And because when they look over, I think it was Imogen that looked over, and Bodhi was over on his hands and knees, retching, but I think maybe channeling. But my other thought is that I think he means too much by brother, but I think that it's Garrick because he was at his wits' end, he is exhausted. He has moved mountains.
Rusty Bucket.
Rusty Bucket, people to and from wherever, and had to move fucking Jack in a goddamn Ribstad chest back here and wherever. Right. And then also going back, and the last one was Imogen and Quinn. He's like, fuck. But the fact that it was, I said in the last one, the color of the stone was graying, and he took another step, and it was still graying, and he left with them. I just felt like that was, why would she say that? But also maybe she's trying to get us to
There
think
were venom
which
out
person
there
maybe was
draining
chilling.
the walls.
I understand that,
They
but
were outside
how would it
draining the
not
walls.
desiccate him at all and make him jump if he was already exhausted and carried 2 people when he barely couldn't even say his own name? I just feel like maybe he just pulled a
True.
little bit in order to do it. Like a little bit. So he had to scoop down and pick up Quinn, which would require him touching the ground. And she said the ground around her turned gray as if she took the life from it.
No, but I
That's
think
why
they
I
were
was
saying
thinking Garrick did it. And he wasn't mentioned in the end either. So there's the 2 brothers, my brother and my brother. Like my best friend brother and my brother, my cousin. Like, which
cousin
one
brother.
is it? What'd you say?
My best friend brother and my cousin brother.
That's what I said. My best friend brother and my cousin brother. Which brother was it?
Uh-huh.
We don't know, and that's what she wants us to know.
Think
Because
the
there's
cousin
not
brother.
much on Bodhi. We think it's Bodhi, but I also feel like it's Garrick. He watched me for the last however many months suffering. I think it's more Garrick than Bodhi. Bodhi didn't want to be in his spot. I didn't want to take his throne. So then we think that. But we know Garrick can do that stuff, and it doesn't matter. It wouldn't matter anyway. Okay, so then maybe it has to be Bodhi. Because if Garrick did do it or didn't turn, then it wouldn't matter. Tyrandor would be Violet's anyway, but if Bodhi didn't, it would be Bodhi's.
Okay, so Rebecca also said in an interview, it's someone who doesn't have a lot of power and wants more power. Garrick has 2 signets and has a lot of power. Bodhi can only counter signets. Maybe it was Bodhi.
Can he counter signets of the venom?
No, it didn't work because he tried countering Theophany.
Right. So what was the
and
fucking
so
point?
If you can't counter,
then what the fuck is your point?
Right.
What point are you, Bodhi, if you can't, that we know of? We don't know.
So if it is Bodhi that turns, then if he's the one that turns,
oh, he's gonna die.
Wait, though. But if he turns, so he as normal human non-venom cannot counter venom signets. But if he turned and became venom, can he now counter human signets?
Maybe. But will he want to?
Something to think about.
If he is on their side.
I don't know.
Unless
So
he doesn't.
I wholeheartedly believe that Xaden is going to try to take the venom out from the inside.
I agree. And I thought whoever his brother is, they will, the darkness, they will take it in from within. And I was hoping if it was Garrick, him and Garrick will take them down. If it was Bodhi, I think Bodhi's just going to fuck shit up and he might just die. Or sadly,
but yeah,
I do think he's going to kill him and be really sad about it because Bodhi's not going to do things for the right reason because he wanted power, because he didn't want to be Tyrandor's heir for whatever reason. And then there's going to be a really sad arc there.
Yeah.
That's what I was hoping it was going to be Garrick. And then Imogen and Violet can just like powwow together and be like, oh, our boyfriends are venom.
Okay, we learned Panchak's a piece of shit in this one. I think we have more traitors in the ranks, and my money is on Atos.
Duh.
And now possibly King Tari.
Yeah?
After this conversation, like I kind of...
And you know why? Halden said, we've been trading with you for the last decade to Deverelli with magical artifacts, and you haven't delivered or whatever. They have been trading magical artifacts. What are they? One, and also the only people that would have allowed that was King Tari. So what the fuck, dude?
Yeah.
What else have you done?
Right. Okay, I want to circle back to, remember the 6 crates of the alloy hilted daggers that were stolen from Suniva by the Venom? Berwyn kills a dragon with a dagger, with an alloy hilted dagger. Is this one of the alloy hilted daggers, and are they able to imbue them with some stolen like death venom magic that's capable of killing a dragon? And that's why they stole all these daggers?
Oh shit. I just thought they stole them so that they wouldn't kill them with them. Well, I guess no one's really tried it on a dragon, have they? Is it magic?
Well,
Is
it's
it just like a
imbued with magic, and I
killing
don't
dagger?
think just a regular, like, I don't think one of those alloy hilted daggers would kill a dragon.
Well, we don't know that. Have they been tried on a dragon?
Or maybe because they're alloy hilted and they carry magic, maybe when they stab the dragon, they're able to, because you know how Xenon fed off of channeled
Xenon?
the alloy. Maybe it acts as like a conduit, and he's able to like drain the dragon fast. I mean, he killed the dragon fast.
And not just that, we don't know if they do actually kill dragons too, because they said that it also has dragon eggshells in it. So if it's magic on magic, maybe they actually kill dragons as well. And we never knew that. We just knew they also kill venom because it's magic based. Interesting. That's interesting.
I think there's like some weird venom rules, like weird venom
I need
shit.
a
like,
venom codex, please.
Yeah. Rebecca, if you can give us a venom codex on like what can and can't happen, because we know Xaden cannot kill his sage.
And that's
because of
weird to me.
venom rules.
Because why is it a rule? It's like this person didn't hold him to a gunpoint or force his hand on the ground to do it. He just happened to pull from the earth in order to throw off this other person and over magic them, if you will. So why would it be that person who you can't kill? That makes no sense. There's no like vampirism where you're like, I sucked his blood and he gave me his, and that's why I can't kill him. It's you were just in the presence of a person that you were just emotionally overwhelmed and decided to draw from the earth. So now you can't kill this person who was in the vicinity who made me upset. It's very odd.
That's why we need a venom codex.
We need a venom codex.
We need to understand the rules here, because I don't.
What are the rules? Yeah.
Okay. I think Sigil broke her bond with Tarn. So you know how the Irids can break bonds, and Andarna's back. So what if Andarna was able to break the bond so that Sigil can go with Xaden? Because in Iron Flame, chapter 66, Sigil's screaming, I chose you, when he starts to channel. And then in the POV chapter in Onyx Storm, Xaden's like, will you forsake me now? And then Sigil's like, well, what is left of you to forsake? And he lets her in. And so she sees whatever she sees that's worth saving at that point and worth fighting for. When Andarna said he needs a cycle of rest to recover, is that because that bond was broken?
I feel like that's right. Shit. I don't want it to be right, but yeah, I mean, a cycle of rest. How long is a cycle of rest?
Logically, that's what makes the most sense in my brain. I don't know.
He needs rest. And Andarna's now okay, so she has to stay where she's at. She can't take a flight anywhere else because Andarna can't carry her yet that we know of. I don't like this. Sigil went, so dragons are they put dragon kind ahead of humankind, but for some reason she decided to cut her mating bond and go with Xaden. And I'm wondering again if he was like, we can take this shit down from within. Listen, you're going to do this and you'll get back to him. Promise me, because I'm going to get back to Violet. Let's do this together. We need to take this down and end it. We need to fucking end this. And she's like, okay. Yeah. Sounds great. So that's
I think that's kind of like, and maybe like I still believe that Arik and Xaden have gotten together at some point, and because Xaden's an intrinsic, he can read intentions, but now like full blown like mind reading, I feel like, because of Venom
full blown
heightened whatever. Eric being a precog, obviously knew that Xaden was Venom, and I think may have talked to him, and they have these multiple paths. I think they plan this out. I think they plan this out. And I think Eric is absolutely 1000% in the know. But how we think things are going to go in at least book 4, potentially into book 5. Number 1, Violet is now the Duchess of Terrandor. We know that she hates leadership and is now forced to take this on and be a root ruler, Xaden set things in motion for her. Whether he left her any sorts of guidebooks, TBD.
Oh, he's probably definitely got some journals hidden around.
Yeah, Garrick or Bodhi is the new brother. Like I think I'm kind of leaning towards Bodhi at this point. I think Xaden is going to learn the inner workings of the Venons and the Venonism, and I think he's going to take them out from within. Venonism. I do think we will see the Irids again, and I think they will come to help in some capacity. What that looks like yet, I do not know, but I do think we will have some sort of resurgence with the Irids. I think Dane will be able to retrieve Violet's memories.
I think so too. Garrick.
We now
and
know
Imogen,
that. Yeah, go ahead.
Garrick and Imogen, we know have second signets, dual marked ones, and I think we talked about this before. I think they do because of dragons marked them before. We'll find out what happens with what happened in the missing 12 hours of Violet's life. That's life. From Imogen.
Of erased memories.
Which I'm excited for, but I don't know if it'll be immediate. Violet and Xaden will meet in dreams. I wholeheartedly believe in this, and they're going to make plans together, not just like romantically, but I mean, bringing it down and figuring this out together in their dreams, as well as Violet she's going to go see her grandmother Nyara for sure, and I don't think she's gonna bring her 2 siblings with her, but like, let's clear the air, let's figure this shit out. I need to know what you told them and what you know. And Violet will go back to Umbriel, learn what she can about dedication. We'll learn about what the other 3 books Asher wrote for Violet, right?
Yep. We also know that there's lots of recovered correspondences, and Rebecca has said there is a reason for this. So this kind of goes back to like what you're saying. I'm like, the part of me feels like, okay, they're really all going to die. I hope not, because it's not just recovered correspondence with Xaden and Violet. There's other correspondence that are now in there. So I don't know what that means, but it is important. I think that Riddick, Sawyer, or Rhiannon, one of the 3, will die in book 4. Of those 3, I don't know. I don't think I know you were thinking it was Riddick. I don't think it's Riddick, because I think Riddick is blessed or touched or dedicated to Zanal.
Rhiannon.
And
because Sawyer
that's kind of where I was thinking. Yeah, that's kind of where I was thinking, that it's going to be our little Riri.
Shit. It's not Jasenia, we know that.
Yeah. And now Eric can see the future, basically. So, there's that.
Oh, Ark. So at the end of the day, this is a love story. There's, of course, one objective: cure or defeat the venom. Things have to be in balance. I think the dragons and the griffins will all leave and go with the Irids, where there are no humans to bond, and therefore removing magic from the continent completely. I think that was more you than me. I think that was me. I don't think they'll go with the Irids. I think they'll leave the continent in its entirety, so that there will be no magic. But yes, removing the temptation and the need for power amongst corrupted humans.
I think dragons and griffins will leave the continent and go to, maybe not where the Irids are living, but another island where there are no humans.
Can't be the only continent. Yeah. And so Sam thinks that Irids will teach the dragons how to sever the bonds so that the humans don't die. The key thing that I have been honing in on since I've read Onyx Storm was when Xaden and Violet were on the balcony in Hedotus, he pulled her over him to make out with her and was like, "Oh shit, I forgot your ribs were still broken, or bruised or battered up or whatever." And she's like, "You know what? Time is the best medicine. Time is the best medicine."
She said, like, in respect to, like, without magic. She's like, when there's no magic, the best medicine is time.
The best medicine is time. Yes.
When there is no magic.
My thought is the best thing they can do is eradicate magic from the earth. Their way they won't they will not corrupt any other humans. They will get rid of this vicious cycle. It's going to be sad. They're going to get rid of their signets and all this stuff. But they're going to live as normal humans in a normal life, hopefully figure out electricity. And
Yeah.
the best medicine is time. And their actual healers will figure out how to use normal fucking modern medicine to cure people and maybe not have a death college. And they won't
Right.
need to have a death college. Maybe it will just be a normal fucking college for kids to go
But it's still
learn safely about things.
It's still going to be a war college, though, because at the very beginning of the book, it said this has been faithfully transcribed by the curator of the Scribe Quadrant at Basgiath War College, Justinia Neilward.
Scribe
Quad. What? Love.
Okay.
Sweet love.
I was going to say you were Bugs Bunny, but that's
together,
cool.
We are gathered here today.
Love, sweet love. Y'all, the best medicine is time. And that is correct in all things. Now, this may not be all of what we have thought of right now.
This is a lot, though.
If we gather all of the other things that we have brought up to each other's in random texts and phone calls and stuff, we will create another episode of theories later down the line. But right now, I think let's take a break. This broke our brains. We're going to continue on
our
to
fucking brain.
It did. We're going to continue on to a new, I would say new series, but you have probably also read this, ACOTAR, and we will go from there and throw some fun ones in there.
And if you don't know what ACOTAR is,
what does it say?
A court of thorn and roses.
Thank you. A court of thorns and roses. You probably already know because it doesn't matter. Fourth Wing actually got me into this type of genre. ACOTAR was my next thing to read after Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. So I'm fresh and new and ready to go.
Yeah, we're gonna segue right from dragons into fairies and 500-year-old fae men and warriors with very impressive wingspans. I'm gonna leave that there. Oh, with that being said, go read a fucking book.
Thanks for chiming in with us. Cheers.
Cheers. Bye, y'all.